ਰਹੀਏ। ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਗੈਸਟ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀਜ਼ ਐਂਡ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਮਾਰਕੋ ਮੈਂਡੀਚੀਨੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ। ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮੈਂਡੀਚੀਨੋ, ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ so much for being with us.
It's great to be with you, Samir. Thank you for having me.
As I said, we have a nice sunshine over here at West Coast. How's the weather in East Coast?
Well, we've had some sunshine as well over the course of the weekend, and today there's also some rays of sun. So this is exactly what we need. We need to focus on the good, on the positive. The sun helps. It's been a challenging year.
Absolutely.
But after the winter, I'm sure that things will continue to improve.
Honourable Minister, as you mentioned that, and we all know that last year was a big challenge for all of us, which affected the immigration too. So what are your plans to fill that gap in the current and the coming years?
Well, first thing I want to say is I hope that you and your family, your listeners are all staying healthy. The second thing is one of the reasons why I'm optimistic about the future is that we are starting to see vaccines roll in and get rolled out more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And as we do that, we will start to see things return to better days and more normalcy. And when it comes to immigration, I'll say a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
One is that immigration is going to be key to our economic recovery. And despite the challenges of COVID-19, we have continued to bring in the workers and the international students that we need to drive our economy so that we can get food and fuel and increasingly health supplies so that we can look after the sick and the elderly. And in addition to that, we also believe that it's so important to keep families together.
Mm-hmm.
And no government has done more to reunite families than ours. And when I think about programs like the parent and grandparent program, but equally to introduce the family reunification exemptions under the COVID rules, we are bringing together loved ones, and we are able to do all of this in a way that is safe and orderly to protect the health and safety of all Canadians.
Mm-hmm. As you said, that farmers and businesses, they are also saying that they have faced a huge problem in inviting temporary foreign workers. What steps, particularly, the government gonna take to help, those farms and businesses?
Well, the first thing I want to say is a big thank you to our migrant workers who come from abroad because they do hard work, and as a result, Canadians get access to the safe and affordable food that we need.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is that right from the outset of the pandemic, we have introduced support for migrant workers, over $100 million to help improve the health and safety of their working conditions. The second thing that we have done is that we have made it easier for migrant workers to stay in Canada by restoring their status where they couldn't travel home, by giving them additional flexibility to move from one job to another if they lost their employment because of COVID-19. And going forward, we will continue to work very closely with the provinces and territories, including BC, as well as the employers themselves, so that we can bring in the temporary workers that we need, because we know that without them, we would have a real challenge in our economy when it comes to food. Mm-hmm. We need those workers. We want to make sure that they can come in, and we will make sure that we support those workers with good funding, with the necessary health and safety protocols that are necessary.
Honestly, Minister, I can feel that, the sense of enthusiasm in your voice. And I am optimist as well that government going to do a lot better things in this year. But, some immigration lawyers are claiming that it is going to be difficult for the government to meet the immigration targets in this year. Do you have any plans to introduce any new program or change in any current ongoing program? Or are you going to hire some more immigration staff in the ministry?
Well, first, before I got into politics, I also practiced law. I was a federal prosecutor, so I can appreciate that there are many professionals who are looking at our policies with a careful eye, and we're working very closely with the immigration bar to ensure that we're incorporating their suggestions and their recommendations. But for this year, in order to reach our immigration plan, and I am very confident that we will be able to do that, we are going to look at the domestic temporary immigrants who are already in Canada. So that includes looking at the temporary workers. It means looking at the international students. It also means looking at those who have sought asylum in Canada because they are fleeing persecution and war and conflict. And in each and every one of these areas, Sumir, what we are seeing is that the workers, the international students, and even the asylum seekers are already helping to respond to COVID-19, in particular in the healthcare sector, where they're rolling up the sleeves and they're helping to create a second shift to meet the challenges of the second wave. And so I think that by looking at the immigrants who are already here, these are our coworkers, our neighbors, our relatives, it really gives us an opportunity, a special opportunity, to broaden the path to becoming a permanent resident, which will be good for responding to COVID-19, but equally to accelerate our economic recovery going forward.
So, is there going to be some exemption for them to be a citizen or to become a permanent resident in Canada?
So we will look at those workers, those international students, and those asylum seekers, and we will ask ourselves the fundamental question: how can you help us respond to COVID-19? If you're working in the healthcare, if you are here taking a degree to become a nurse, to become a doctor, to become a personal support worker, can we accelerate the path to you staying in Canada as a permanent resident? I think that out of this healthcare crisis, we have an opportunity to really take full advantage of that. And likewise, when it comes to workers, if you are working in the building and the trade sector, or if you're working in the tech sector, you have skills that we need, because there's for example, in Vancouver, we know that there is a real housing crunch. We need people to get access to to affordable housing. How are we going to build affordable housing? We need all hands on deck. There are workers who are here on a temporary basis who can help us accomplish that goal. Those are just two essential sectors of the economy where we have temporary workers and international students who are already helping to give back in the context of COVID, but equally who will help us to build back better. And I think that with our plan, we will be able to accomplish both of those goals.
Minister, you have a huge fan following in the West Coast, and some of my listeners, they send me questions, and they said, if Minister allows, you can ask the questions. So if you allow me, I can start the questions from my listeners.
Oh, I don't mind, of course.
Perfect.
Listen, always happy to take a question.
That's great. So, Minister, one of my listener, he said, can Minister tell us what key points were defined in the immigration mandate letter sent by the Honourable Prime Minister on December 13th last year, and in the supplementary mandate letter on January 15th this year?
Well, the two mandate letters, just for those listeners who may not know, I get a letter from the Prime Minister that sets out what my goals are. And so in both of the letters, the number one goal is to continue to grow our population, to grow our economy through immigration. And our immigration plan seeks to bring in roughly 1% of our total population, a little bit more over the course of the next 3 years, so that we can bring in and welcome new Canadians. And why do we need to do that, Samir? Because we're an aging population. Without immigration, our workforce is retiring, and we need to have those reinforcements. We need to bring in that talent, that skill, that experience. So that's precisely what our plan seeks to do. It also, the Prime Minister in the mandate also asks me to help to transform our immigration system. So for those of your listeners who work in this sector, they will tell you that the immigration system has historically been a very paper-based process. We want to make it more digital, and that is exactly what we have done over the course of the last year. We have, for example, we've taken our citizenship process, which used to be only paper-based, and now we're making it digital. So we're hosting virtual citizenship ceremonies. We are starting to test for citizenship online, and I know that this is going to be one of the ways in which we're going to transform our immigration system and make it more efficient. The same goes for landing new permanent residents. And then again, this is where, out of this crisis, we are seeing an opportunity and capitalizing. We are no longer going to need to do all of the real paperwork when it comes to permanent residency. We're going to take more of those processes and put them online, including meeting with immigration officers towards the end of the journey towards becoming a permanent resident. We're going to do those meetings virtually. That is exactly what the Prime Minister's asked me to do, and that is what we are working very hard to deliver on every day. And by doing those things, we will meet our objectives in our immigration plan.
Honourable Minister, how will you ensure the transparency in government's immigration programs? As we have seen, there have been a lot of news about exploitation in the name of LMIA. What is your say on that?
Well, I will tell you and your listeners what I tell everybody, which is that I'm always deeply concerned when I hear about reports of fraud and people being taken advantage of. And I believe that those who commit those crimes need to be brought to justice. And that's why we continue to invest in law enforcement to really crack down. You've seen that recently in the past number of months that there have been a number of investigations and charges laid against those who commit the fraud against newcomers, aspiring newcomers who are vulnerable because they may not be familiar with Canada. They may not be familiar with the way in which to make their way through the system. So we have to hold them accountable. And they for those that commit those crimes, there should be serious consequences. I firmly believe in that. The second thing is that we need to be sure that the LMIA regime is used properly. And the point of having the LMIA system in place is to be sure that we are working closely with businesses, including in the agricultural sector, to really identify the gaps in our workforce and to align them with the skill set of those migrant workers who are coming from abroad. Where there are abuses, we should be reforming the system, and we should be sure that it is as efficient as possible. And I know that my colleague, Minister Carla Qualtrough, who herself is a BC minister, is working extremely, extremely hard to ensure that we've got an LMIA system that is very efficient and that looks to meet the economic needs that we have right now in the midst of this pandemic. And I will undertake that work with her, along with the provinces and the territories who also have an important role to play in this.
But Minister, on the other hand, as you said that we should reform these laws or LMIA, do you think there is a need to rehaul LMIA and make this market more fair for the immigrants and work seekers?
Well, I think what we should do is we should be sure that we understand that we have an LMIA in place to really align the gaps in our workforce to the very specific and specialized skill set that exists from beyond, and that's why the LMIA is in place in the first instance. The second thing that we should do is, yes, we should always look to be sure that we are increasing efficiency, making it as effective as possible, and reducing instances of abuse. And then the third thing that I would say is that for those who were impacted by COVID-19, if you came to Canada to work under an LMIA, but you lost your job because of COVID-19, we have created the flexibility to allow you to get a job that does not require an LMIA, but an open work permit so that there is more flexibility. And this really gets back to what I was saying to you earlier about why immigration is so important. Immigration is important because it has been a lifeline. It's been a lifeline to our economy. It's been a lifeline to Canadians to ensure that we get all of life's necessities, be it food, be it fuel, or especially right now, be it the vaccines that we need to come into this country. And it's not just about the people who are going to be permitted to bring those vaccines into the country. Equally, it's going to be those professionals and those workers in the healthcare sector that we need to administer the vaccines to our population. And in each and every one of these areas, immigration is there to support. And these are people who are already in Canada, who are already rolling up their sleeves to do the hard work in some of the most essential parts of our economy, particularly the healthcare sector. And so that is what we have been focused on.
Mr. Minister, some immigrants are demanding that there should be more application accepted under parent and grandparent sponsorship program. And also some are demanding that to bring the first come, first serve program back. What do you think about that?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that, again, this government has broken right through the ceiling on the number of people that have been reunified as family members under this government. And that's because we believe in immigration. We believe in the importance of reuniting loved ones, and that has remained true throughout the pandemic. When it comes to the parent and grandparent program, I'll just remind your viewers that under the last Conservative government, they shut that program down for 2 years. And what have we done? And also that there were backlogs and delays for 7 years. 7 years. Okay, under our program, even in the midst of a pandemic, we have kept the PGP open, and we have set new records for the total number of individuals that are going to be eligible to be invited under that particular path. And that is last year was 10,000, but this year we are going to welcome 20,000 under that program. That is a record. We are going to meet that goal. And in addition to that, before the end of last year, I committed to prioritizing family reunification by standing up a special team that would look to process as many family sponsorship, spousal sponsorship applications as we could before the end of the year. We were able to process just shy of about 46,000. So these are good numbers. They show that we care very much about reuniting families, both in the context of permanent residency as well as under the parent and grandparent program. And we will continue to be a world leader when it comes to this value in our immigration system.
Minister, in the closing, we are as one of the biggest South Asian radio station in West Coast, covering from Okanagan to Lower Mainland to Island. What message would you like to give to the British Columbians, those who are listening to you right now, sir?
Well, first, that I wish everyone out in the West Coast health. I hope that everybody continues to follow the advice of our healthcare officials. It is there to help protect everybody. So, doing the basics, socially distancing and washing hands and wearing a mask when out in public. But equally, that I know that this has been a challenging time. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say to everybody that is listening that while the next couple of months will be difficult, that I do see that there will be better days for us in the spring, and the best is yet to come. Mm-hmm. And that all of the work that we are doing in our government when it comes to supporting Canadians by getting vaccines, by providing workers and families and business owners with the supports that they need, is going to be very much supported by the work that we are doing in immigration. This is a country that is built on immigration. I am the son of an immigrant family. Mm-hmm. It is a privilege and an honor to be able to contribute that allows us to chart out a course that is based on hope and optimism and confidence in immigration, and that is work that I will continue to do.
Mr. Minister, thank you so much for giving your precious time, and we would like you to continue to oblige us with your participation in the programs with AM 600 radio station.
Happy to do it.
Thank you so much. You have a nice day, sir.
Thank you, Samir. All the best.
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ Honourable ਮਾਰਕੋ ਮੈਂਡੀਚੀਨੋ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਰਿਫਿਊਜੀਜ਼ ਐਂਡ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਦਿਲ ਖੋਲ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਸੁਣੀ। ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਚਰਚਾ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹੇਗੀ। ਸੁਣਦੇ ਰਹੋ CKSP 600 AM ਸ਼ੇਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ।